Hi. Today we're going to talk about unquestioned priorities. You know, when there is confusion, lack of clarity, when people are frightened or don't know which way to turn, we still have to raise money. We had to raise money after 9/11. We had to raise money during the Great Recession. You have to raise money when there's a big change in leadership, a big shakeup at your organization or your institution. We always have to move forward. But in what direction? How do we know what to do? I have always found that if I focused on these 5 unquestioned priorities, I came out well at the other end. The first one is you have to organize or reorganize. Pull out that table of gifts. You know, the document that has name by name by name by name, individuals, corporations, foundations, based on their capacity to give. And what were your plans for them? How much were you going to ask them for? How much, when were you going to ask them? Who was going to ask them? What was the last strategic initiative, the last move, the last step that you took with them? To what end? Where do things stand with that donor and potential donor? This is a list of donors and potential donors. Pull that table of gifts out and dust it off. If you don't have one, then you need to make one. And now's a great time. You're home. Do it. Make it happen. You need help? As a follow-up to this video, you're going to find tools and communications from the Osborne Group to help you do it. But get that name-by-name table of gifts dusted off, reorganized, get your mind immersed in it. Where do things stand? Because you're going to need it for steps 2 to 4. Step 2. When was the last time that for those on that table who are donors, that you sent an impact communication or they had an impact experience? I'm not talking about a touch where you remembered somebody's birthday, good thing to do. I'm not talking about a thank you note, super important to do. I'm talking about that communication that said, Karen, you fed this family. Karen and Bob, you gave this student an opportunity. Karen and Bob, you gave this child hope. When was the last time you gave a communication to whom on that list that helped them feel joyful and good about the impact they have already made? Now think about this for a minute. What a great activity for you and your team to brainstorm about. I know you don't have resources at your disposal. You can't invite them to, come for a tour. You can't invite them and have at an event that you were going to hold for letting your donors know how special they are. So you're going to have to be creative. But what a wonderful way to spend some time. Get a Zoom meeting or whatever platform you use. Get your team together to brainstorm. What could we do? What conversation could we have? What communication could we make that would make folks feel good about their investment? Good again, because I know you probably did this, but maybe it was 6 months ago, maybe it was 3 months ago. Now is the time. And it's going to lift your spirits and theirs. Number 3, from that list, you have that table of gifts. You know who your major donors and potential donors are. They're going to get specialized stewardship. They also need a strategy. Maybe you've been in touch with them recently. You've been calling them just to check in, see how they're doing. But we need to be strategic. By when were you hoping to close that major gift? Which of the rights do you have right? Do you know right purpose, right amount, right solicitation team or method, right time? What strategic step could you take? How could you use stewardship to help you with that strategic step? It's going to take creativity, again, because you have limited things at your disposal. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. Let's just say Karen loves you. My goodness, she loves your organization. She loves everything you're doing. But Mr. Bob is not quite there. He's a little reluctant. You're going to think about, he's got a lot of great thinking around finances. He's a finance guru. And here we are at a time when we're trying to ask people who might be feeling poor, the stock market is crashed and they might not be feeling as flush as they were before all this happened. But we still want them to think about giving. What if we talk to Karen about pulling Bob in to help us think about, or pull a small group of people together virtually to brainstorm how do we approach people who are feeling a little bit rocky about finances right now to think about still investing in our organization. Getting his expertise, getting his advice. What other creative things can we do? Some of you have heard me say this before. One of my mother-in-law's great expressions was, I talked it over with myself and I decided I was right. You don't want to just talk it over with yourself because it's going to sound right. Again, have a brainstorming session. So now we've got two steps. We've got a stewardship step and we have another strategic step, an advice getting step, a gathering step. Maybe you're having a town hall meeting, a virtual town hall meeting. What could you ask Bob about as a follow-up to that town hall meeting? Bob and Karen, that might move them closer to that joyful yes, that might help you uncover what's the right purpose for them. This takes creative thought, but you're smart and you can do this. Number 4, you've got middle donors. Now there are two kinds of middle donors. And middle donors are whatever for you is above the vast majority of your donors and below major giving. So for you, that might be 10,000 to 100,000. For somebody else, it might be 25,000 to 250,000, whatever that middle group is for you. One group of them, they're in the middle because that's how much they can afford. That's their capacity. But I'm talking about this group. This group is giving you less. They're giving you that 10,000 or that 25,000 because you're number 5, 6, 7 on their list, not number 1, 2, or 3. And you're trying to move them up, move us up on their list. And you need that same kind of thinking, strategic thinking about that group. Is there a role stewardship could play? Is there a role that those major donors could play in helping move that group? Is there anybody who knows them? Is there a way that they could help with that strategy and that could also help move them along? Again, this is going to take creative thinking, and we're going to follow up with you after this with communications and tools to help stir your thinking. But this is so important. And besides, there's just so much time that you can watch Netflix while you're sitting home. Number 5, what role is your board playing in all this? Now, hopefully, they're on the table of gifts. They are part of your stewardship plan, and they are getting individual stewardship. Some group of them are major donors and a part of your major donor strategy. The rest of them are middle donors and are part of your middle donor strategy. But you also have to think about them as a group. How do we want to have, should we have a virtual meeting around fundraising during times of crisis? What's our message? Who could they help us with in groups 2, 3, and 4? What connections could they help us make? What ideas do they have? Having a strategy around your board is really important as well. Here's a bonus one, a number 6. And that is, during all of this, you have to remember to take care of you. You're not going to be able to implement, to strategize, to think, to get your team working on if you are exhausted, if you are fragmented, if you're afraid, if, all of those stressed. You've got to take care of you. How are you keeping movement and exercise, even though the gym is closed, in your life? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you doing something fun and finding a way to laugh? I'm dancing in the living room. What are you doing to take care of you?